following podcast has been paid for and brought to you in part by Front Row Material.
In these last seconds, we'd like to communicate out to all those listening that this goes out to the select few, the not for everyone, the outsiders, the left behind and forgotten. It's a cold world, so bundle up. And now your host for the cult of Beardo, Big Daddy Beardo.
And welcome again to another edition. No. This is not 6 Degrees of Ritt and Renegade. This is Thursday night, 8 p.m. We're talking Cult of Beardo. I am the host of Ritt, and I am here with a good friend, longtime rival, Renegade. What's going on?
What's going on, brother?
Man, another week. Another couple days, man. The talk is amazing for 6 Degrees of Renegade and Ritt.
That's what I hear. I like to hear that.
Hey, Monday nights, prime time. Monday might be the spot now. You never know.
You got to find that sweet spot. That's the thing.
You know how many women have told me that?
and still tell you that?
Yes.
The ever elusive sweet spot.
Yes. So, anything new happening? Since Monday?
I've been getting my ass busted at work. Just my coworker. So we're not the only business that's having a staff shortage, but I am certainly feeling the effects. So not only are we shorthanded people, my only helper coworker who works directly with me injured his shoulder, so he is now not able to physically help me, and I've been doing a lot of it myself. So I'm feeling it.
Hey, speaking of feeling it, here comes the star, the Canadian Butt.
There he is.
Hello, gentlemen. How's it going?
Not bad. How about yourself?
It's been a big day. Things have been busy. Things are good, but they're busy.
Hey.
How about yourselves?
We are doing great. Renegade's a little sore, but hey, 2 more weeks, and I know you got 2 weeks off.
Yes, I am looking forward to that. And then it's their problem. I don't have to worry about it.
And then if I was you, I would come to work on vacation and video record them having to do the work.
That's right. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?
Hey, you forgot over there. Pick that piece of scrap up.
That's not where that goes.
I've heard that before.
Speaking of that, how's the movie business been?
Oh, man. It's been a little slow. So, we got winter's coming up. But since winter is coming, we are doing a Game of Bones. That's what we're doing.
Oh, man.
So yeah, there's dragons flying around, that's for sure.
Hey, who's that little, the vertically challenged guy on Game of Thrones? That
Tyrion.
was Tyrion?
Yeah.
I've got a perfect person for him.
I know who it is.
He's not in the chat yet, but when he's in, we're re-bringing this back up.
He will be perfect.
Mikey Starks.
Little Mikey.
This guy is the only one I've ever seen that ordered a kid size small. And it's big on him for our shirts.
Oh my.
Like he was on another podcast that I was on, doing a little cameo, kind of promote the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And this man puts a Barbie couch behind him just to make him look taller. Like, it's ridiculous. But yeah, he's the perfect man for the job.
I'll tell you what works for that. If you're gonna send unsolicited pics to the ladies, then you have like the Barbie arm holding the Barbie credit card next to it, so it looks gigantic. That's what you do.
No.
You've done that before.
I mean, maybe.
No,
there's no proof of this.
Renegade one time, I remember this many years ago. Him and I were talking. We're at a McDonald's. And he's like, dude, you're never going to guess what boosted my confidence and the ladies start talking to me more. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? He goes, dude, you hire a midget to hold your cock. That midget hand makes your cock look 20 sizes bigger. He goes, you at least gain 2 to 3 inches.
I don't think you can say midgets anymore. They're little people now.
It's either that or it looks like you stuck your wiener in a box of Jimmy Dean sausages or something.
Oh my lord! Kind of shit, and it only took 9 minutes and 13 seconds.
Which do after microwave. I'm not going to say anymore. Don't do it in a fridge.
No, but I have a huge question for you. I was at the store, but I was in a hurry. I seen, you know how WWE has their elite stars, with the little big rectangular square case. Yeah. I seen the Otis one.
Get it.
You want me to get it for you?
Buy it, bud. Just buy it. I don't care how much it is. Just buy it.
I'll sit there and get it for you. Unfortunately, the box I had to put it in would have to be like, the size of a 70-inch TV.
It's fine. It's just money. Buy it, ship it, send me the bill.
Okay.
Done and done, please. Sorry. That wasn't...
and the worst thing about the figure, when you see it, it's a belly shirt he's in.
That's fantastic.
Like...
I'm going to start rocking a belly shirt on the show, I think.
You could look like the old Otis, I think. Before he baby-faced it up.
Yeah, I'm not shaving.
No. But, guys, part 3. Mm-hmm. We're talking Chris Jericho. And his WWE debut. We talked about the ECW, WCW, Japan, Mexico, little Smoky Mountain. But now we're here where business picks up. The debut. Picture this. 1999. Raw. You had the hottest superstar on the mic, The Rock, out there, cutting a promo on the big show. The lights dim down. The countdown begins to come to an end. The Millennium Clock. And there it is. Y2J. What were your guys' thoughts when you seen this?
I was over the moon. At that point, I had discovered Jericho. I was getting back into wrestling. I got out of it for a bit. I was getting back into it, and I had discovered Jericho and realized the guy's pretty damn good. And he's Canadian. We know that goes a ways for me. Any Canadian talent, I'm generally a little more inclined to root for. I thought it was great. Obviously, I was, how old was I? 21 then. So, we didn't know all the ins and outs that we know now. So I was just pumped for it. I couldn't wait to see what happened. That was me. It was a terribly kept secret. Like, everybody knew it was happening. It's not like nobody knew who it was going to be. But it's still exciting to see what's going to happen. What's he going to do or not do?
Renegade, what about you?
Yeah, much like Bud, I had just, recently had discovered Jericho by this point. I saw him on that great promo where he's doing the 1,004 holds or whatever. I've seen this stuff with him and the bodyguard guy. And So I've seen him by this point, and then he comes out. I thought the countdown thing that they'd been building up to was pretty cool. And then he comes out, and I'm like, all right, this guy's pretty cool. And there's a good, if I remember right, pretty cool promo. He cuts on the Rock, and he had a unique look too. He didn't look like anybody else in WWE. So it felt like a nice change of pace, an exciting new injection into the WWE, and it was just exciting to see where this was going to go and what he was going to get into.
Yeah, man, it was like that whole moment, Chicago. A lot of big things happened in Chicago. A recent one was CM Punk making his grand return to wrestling in Chicago, and the worst kept secret ever. But it wasn't meant to be a secret, But Jericho, on the home video break down the walls, Chris Jericho stated he was inspired to do this. The whole entrance was similar. He saw clock at a post office, and Vince McMahon approved it and used it for his introduction. Like, and that was perfect, all perfect timing. You had the Y2.
Okay.
I was going to say Y2J.
No, Y2K.
You had the Y2K scare, and Jericho took it, and put his own little spin to it, and it was great. It's not too many people can actually debut. He was an upper to mid Carter for WCW for the longest time, and for Vince to see something in him and push him right in that spotlight right away, that just shows that Vince seen something in him that WCW's office didn't see. Renegade.
Surprise, surprise.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
I mean, look, they had Steve Austin, they had Kevin Nash before they made it big in WWE. It's like they didn't see a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, so obviously he impressed somebody there, and let them know that he's capable of something more than what WCW was willing to give him. I mean, wouldn't even give him a chance against Goldberg to see what he could do in the main event level, which I think was a shame. But maybe that would have kept him there, and he never would have came over, and things would have been different. But we know what we know now about him and how great he is, but the clock thing shows you just his genius at being inspired by things around him, and then using that and making that work in the world of wrestling. It's incredible the things he was able to do.
Yeah, and his whole first month in the WWE was crazy. Interrupting The Rock. Later that month, he interrupted a Taker promo. That's two high keen guys that he was, interrupting to draw more attention and more spotlight on him.
Yeah, imagine that. So he can't get Goldberg in WCW, but he comes right over here and he's face to face with The Rock and Undertaker within a month. So, I mean, that's quite a leap.
Says something, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now he lost his first debut match on the inaugural first ever SmackDown against Road Dogg, but it was by disqualification. So he never been pinned. And then we go into a feud that a lot of people at the time were questioning. His first long-term feud was against the ninth wonder of the world, China. So, but what are your thoughts of, do you remember the feud?
I don't remember it well. No.
Okay.
But just thinking about it, China at that point, 99, 2000, she would have been over like Rover. She was a big deal then.
Mm-hmm.
And this was dare I say, trend setting, almost intergender wrestling wasn't a mainstay. It was still not a mainstay, but it was far from it back then. It was very taboo almost, right? And you get Jericho, who was a fantastic worker. I mean, he talked the ear off you. He's a great talker, right? China has always talking was never a strong point to her. She had a great physique, great look, and the fact that she could legitimately wrestle with power moves and whatnot, she wasn't just eye candy. I think it'd be great. Well, it was great, obviously, but it was so unheard of, shall we say. That just didn't happen, especially when you're bringing in a guy who was known, but Jericho wasn't a super duper star or nothing like that. China was pretty big then. I mean, I think she had done her Playboy shoot at that point, so I mean, she was at the pinnacle of her popularity.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost a no brainer. I won't say a no brainer, but it couldn't fail, or it shouldn't fail anyhow.
Yeah, a lot of people were sitting there and saying how, where he had it made in WCW, he's one of the top cruiserweights, top mid-carders. Mm-hmm. And then, he leaves there to wrestle a female and happened to sell for her and stuff. But China made it legitimate. Like she was a legitimate bodybuilder.
She beat her ass. She was a big lady.
Yes, and Jericho made it believable. Renegade. Do you remember the Intercontinental Championship matches that they had, where they actually became co-Intercontinental? I think that's the first time ever.
Yeah, I believe so. I do remember this feud to a degree. I was actually shocked to see that it was one of the first feuds he was involved in. I felt like this was later on. Certainly within like the first year or two he came over, but I thought it was a little bit later than this. But I thought it was great. I mean, they told a great story. They worked well together. Wasn't Eddie involved in that at some point as well?
Yeah, yes, it did become a little bit of a three-way dance later on, because Jericho lost to China at Survivor Series, and then he won the Intercontinental title at Armageddon. And then they became co-champions for a little bit, which Jericho was the face. And then it became a thing. It was a three-way. With Eddie was in it, Jericho and China, which Jericho finally won the title, solo instead of a co-championship at Royal Rumble.
Good stuff.
I didn't remember that at all.
Yeah, I was. It was good because it was different. Co-champion. You never see that. So,
because it really doesn't make sense. A co-championship doesn't make sense.
If my memory serves me correctly, they went and they faced each other. They both pinned someone else at the same time, but the one ref seen one point of view, one ref seen another point of view, and they sit there and say, "Oh man, my man Butts here. I mean Boog, babyface Boog.
Been here for 22 minutes. Fuck.
Oh man, Butts gonna star in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer Bone. Oh man,
that's actually not bad. I like that.
I'm gonna have to remember that one.
Oh man,
we'll put that on the docket.
Oh, you could sit there and go through the whole series, the whole movie series.
Oh, I couldn't. I've never seen it.
So, but yeah, then well, let's see here. Jericho lost his next feud was against the hot rising star, probably one of the hottest, most successful year ones ever. Kurt Angle Kurt Angle was the European champ at the time. Beat Jericho for the Intercontinental. He became holding both titles at the same time. So, do you guys remember any of these Kurt Angle matches? From his first year, like he was on fire. European title, Intercontinental, Shane McMahon street fight at King of the Ring. His first year was impeccable.
Well, he was what Vince wanted. He was a legit shooter. He was an Olympic champion. He came with the hoopla. But he was, even as a rookie of first year, he could wrestle. He was green, but he knew what he was doing, if that makes sense at all. He didn't look totally out of place. Now, he was helped a little bit too, not to diminish him or take anything away from him. But when you put him in with a guy such as a Jericho, he'll hide some of your flaws and your weaknesses, which is perfect, which is exactly what you want when you have somebody as green as Angle was at that time, that you plan on riding him for eons and turning him into a superstar, which they did, and he deserved, right? I mean, I don't remember these specific matches, but I just remember Angle in general when he first came in. He looked good. He got a lot of help, but he looked good. He did not look like he was lost or out of place. He fit in.
Renegade, what about you?
So a lot of early. Now I was a little confused. Are we talking Angle or are we talking Jericho? Did you ask about?
I wanted you guys to sit there and your point of view of Angle's first year. Because this was both of their first years. Angle and Jericho, first year, both of them. Angle being green, Jericho being the quote unquote veteran.
Right, the veteran of the two at least. But Jericho's been doing it almost 10 years by this point, right?
Correct.
Close to.
And Angle to come in. I mean, it shows you how much of a natural he was, and his background in legit wrestling is it shows through. And I wonder why they don't go after more guys from that realm, because they're just a lot of them natural athletes. And you got Brock, Kurt Angle. I'm sure there's many others.
Shelton Benjamin.
Right. I mean, one of his most amazing moments was that Shawn Michaels match where he flies. I mean, but natural athletes and very good. Maybe lacking in one aspect or another. It seems like mostly verbal skills. Like, not saying they're dummies, but Kurt Angle might have been the best talker of all of them. But you'd see like a lack of skill in promos and things like that from shooter wrestlers, and but natural ability, and he was phenomenal, and how quickly he took to it. You'd think he'd been doing it for years.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good he was.
Yeah, when he lost the Intercontinental Championship to Kurt Angle, it was a 3-way at No Way Out. No. At WrestleMania 2000. They had a 3-way. So we're moving along. Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, and they added a third man, Chris Benoit, into the mix. So, man, the clinics those guys put on. Mm-hmm. Jericho won the European Championship by pinning Benoit. And then Jericho Angle pinned Jericho to win the Intercontinental Championship again. So it was just a back and forth. Like him and Jericho and Angle over the next year faced each other 6 times at pay-per-views. Now, Jericho was originally supposed to be in the main event of WrestleMania 2000. Can anybody remember what they called the match? It was supposed to be a 4-way. Can anybody remember that? Possibly one of the worst WrestleMania main events ever.
If memory serves me right, that was a four-way match, wasn't it? WrestleMania
That was a
2000
four-way match.
main event.
Jericho was supposed to be in, but he got taken out because someone else said they would do the match because he was supposed to have been retired. Yes, Jersey Devil, you son of a bitch.
A McMahon in every corner.
McMahon in every corner.
I forgot about that aspect of it. Yeah.
Triple H took on Big Show, took on The Rock, was supposed to have been Chris Jericho, but Mick Foley said he would come back and do the pay-per-view.
There you go.
One of the worst pay-per-views. Jersey Devil, how the hell you doing? I'm always glad to see you here chatting it up with us. Doesn't matter if it's Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. But yeah, that was Jericho was supposed to be in the main event. But because Mick Foley agreed to come back and do that McMahon in every corner, because he was Linda's surprise. Man, you're not even there 6 months. And they're already wanting to put you in the main event. Like they went and did great, you know. So, but you guys remember the pay-per-view at all?
No, and I'm glad I don't, judging by the McMahon in every corner. I'm glad I don't remember that.
It was, in my opinion, it was one of the worst gimmicks they had. It was when all the McMahons were fighting and complaining about each other. This was shortly after Stephanie and Triple H, got married. And then, Vince had The Rock, Shane had Big Show. So, and Linda's got in, and I had no idea.
Why?
Linda always seemed out of place anytime she was live on the air. But after that pay-per-view, WrestleMania 2000, Triple H walks out the victor. And then we have Monday Night Raw, April 17th. When Chris, and this is one of the memories I remember watching Raw. Chris Jericho winning the WWE title from Triple H because Earl Hebner fast counted Jericho. Fast counted Triple H for Jericho to go over. That was amazing. Jericho was celebrating over the top. Triple H was furious. Renegade, you're looking at me like you remember it like it was yesterday.
I don't. So it must just be gas. No, so unfortunately, a lot of Jericho's early stuff, I have already forgotten most of it. So what's burned in my memory more is the things he's done in the last 10, 15 years. But that early stuff, it just, a lot of it's a blur now. So I'll pick little tidbits of it in my mind. I remember some of the stuff with him in China. I remember the first night he came out, a few things here and there. But a lot of it's a blur anymore. So I don't even remember this match happening. Sadly.
Renegade? Butt?
Yeah, I vaguely remembered. I don't remember it well enough to form an honest, educated opinion. I can talk out my ass a little bit, but I'm just going to make stuff up.
Yeah, it's okay. But over the next couple months, he was in feuds with Benoit. Where they would pass back and forth the Intercontinental title. Jericho lost another match to Triple H by a second, despite recent assistance with Stephanie. And then we're going to fast forward a little bit to the Royal Rumble 2001. Again, 6 matches and in over a year's time, Jericho's taking on Benoit in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. This is the 4th time in a year. So, man, what wrestling aside, just wrestling. What are your thoughts on Benoit, his work ethic, his run with the Intercontinental title in WWE? That he never would have ever got in WCW. The only reason they put the WCW World title on him was because they wanted him to stay. So, what were your guys' thoughts on the Canadian crippler Chris Benoit, and his extravagant mid-card run?
Renegade?
Well, I mean, he's phenomenal. Before Jericho, he was one of the best pickups they got. Out of those 4, I mean, certainly Eddie as well. But he brought an edge and some toughness to WWE and could go with anyone. That was apparent. There wasn't anybody he couldn't work with, and had a ton of phenomenal matches. And I actually, just hearing about some of these, the fact that I've forgotten most of Jericho's early career, I want to go back and watch some of this stuff because I want to see all these matches with Benoit. I want to see the matches he had with Kurt Angle, the early matches with Triple H and stuff like that. And I do remember during that time all the stuff going on between him and Stephanie and talking about her boob job and all that kind of stuff. So that was
the before and after pictures.
Yeah. So, but Benoit was phenomenal, and certainly not forgetting how things turned out, but just like you said, looking at the aspect of in ring, I mean, what a great grab WWE had, and he was pretty damn good.
But what about you?
Basically, going to echo what Renegade said. Benoit's fantastic. How things went at the end. That aside, in the ring, he was dynamite. As Renegade said, wrestle with anybody, put on a show. He looked like $1,000,000. He was as wide as he was tall. Like something cut out of granite. He was everything you could want in a wrestler. He was perfect. The look, the moves. Not a great talker, but that's okay. I mean, you can always work with that. Right? But he was splendid. If things had ended differently, he's a Hall of Famer, legend, wrestling god that everybody talks about. It'd be ridiculous. Unfortunately, well,
Yeah. Well, those two had great matches against each other, but then WWE had a little different idea. Let's put them together, and they had a little tag team run. And one of their most famous matches, there's 2 famous matches, but the first one was that King of the Ring, when Benoit and Jericho took on the reigning tag team champs. They were called the 2-man power trip? Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where Triple H legitimately tore his quad.
I remember that exact moment too.
That's who they were wrestling when he blew out his quad.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So, Renegade, help me out here. You said you remember this. Talk about the match.
If I can't get this match correct, I'm going to crap in your pants. So, trying to set the thing up. So, Jericho has Austin in the Walls of Jericho.
Correct.
And Triple H comes off the ropes
with the sledgehammer.
And goes to hit him from behind, and was like a bad step, I think, or something like that. And
he went down.
Yep.
He went down quicker than Vince McMahon coming out off a mess up finish at a Royal Rumble.
Hey, I got it right. Your pants are safe.
Yeah.
And clump free.
So they win the titles. And they lost to the Dudleys 2 months later. But it was a great match. 4-way TLC match. And Benoit sustained a little injury during that match. When he went and did an old diving headbutt off the top and through a table. So the Dudleys get to win the titles.
What event was that at?
It was a SmackDown.
It was a SmackDown?
Okay. It was a SmackDown. June 21st. SmackDown in 2000? 2000. So, but both Benoit, they lost the titles, but both Benoit and Jericho got to compete at King of the Ring for the WWF title at the time against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this was a moment because Renegade, but do you remember why? Jersey Devil, I'm telling you right now, if you type that in the chat, I'm going to come there.
To Florida?
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Booker T.
Yes, the inaugural invasion angle. That, well, Booker T interrupted the match, and Austin retained the title. Yes, Jersey Devil, can you dig it? Sucker! Man. Next thing you know, we have a great average.
A great average?
Great average. Feud. What could have been, though? Like, I honestly thought the invasion angle could have been so much better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was... I didn't get why they... Like, I got business-wise why they turned Austin heel to lead the alliance. But I'd never understood why they didn't do Jericho to lead the alliance. Jericho had ECW history. He had WCW history. He was over. And he was a great heel. A lot better heel than he was a face.
Well, he just plays a good jackass. Jericho, he's an asshole on the mic, and yeah, he plays it great.
Yeah, and just like Jersey Devil said, we might have to do one time a show on the invasion angle, because, man, what could have that been back then? If all the contracts weren't guaranteed, and Vince could have brought them all in. Hall, Nash, Hogan, right from the rip. Sting, Goldberg. You know, Flair, bringing them all in right from the rip. To going up against your Taker, your Triple H, Stone Cold, Angle, you know, Kane. That would have been money there. You know?
Could have been some amazing matches, no doubt about that. Just on name alone. You hope the match lives up to half to what the name value brings, and you'd have great shows.
Well, if what I read was true, what that could have led to in having the brand split and keeping WCW alive and running WWE at the same time would have been, I mean, that the alliance angle then would have been so much more. You know, it would have been a lot more. What stakes were there? Because once that Buff Bagwell match happened and they decided to pull the plug because of that, and you didn't get guys like Sting and Hogan and Hall and Nash and and Goldberg and all those guys. So once you couldn't get them, now you got Conan and Buff Bagwell and those guys going against your Rocks and your Triple H's and all that stuff. Doesn't hold the same weight. Nothing personal against them, but it doesn't hold the same weight as having your Goldberg and your Hall and Nash and stuff. Booker T was the biggest name they grabbed.
Yeah.
So
and it was kind of sad how they, instead of just doing WCW versus WWF, they had to add ECW in there for the star power.
right.
You know, the Dudleys, Rhino. And they were already signed for WWE. You know, the only person that was a big star that wasn't was Rob Van Dam. And I was ecstatic when I seen Rob Van Dam and Dreamer on that Monday Night Raw. Like that, I was like, because Rob Van Dam, well, Renegade knows, he was my man in ECW. You know, it was horrible booking.
Well, they just had nobody to do anything with from the WCW side. Who'd they have? Nobody.
No,
Nothing against Booker T. But the talent ended after Booker T, realistically. The big talent, I should say.
And like, there was other legitimate guys. Scott Steiner could have, but he had a broken ankle, so he couldn't. You know, he couldn't have came over with.
Scott Steiner's.
Well, at that time, his Big Papa Pump, you know, gimmick was over. He was a top heel. You know, they ended Nitro. You know, that where Scott Steiner dropped the title to Booker T to become the 5-time champion.
Sid was also reeling from the broken leg still at that time, right? He's still recuperating from that. So you couldn't get him.
Yeah.
That's the thing is like, man, where that could have gone. If you're going to run WCW, WWE together still, yeah, Vince running both, but all that talent staying, that alliance angle could have been amazing how that split up. And if you could have had that guarantee of saying, okay, listen, we're going to keep WCW running, get Sting, you could probably talk Sting into coming out, Hall and Nash maybe, Hogan,
Luger.
Whatever, Luger. And it was like, listen, if you guys want to still be a part of the WCW stuff and stay over there and work that talent, or maybe you trade guys back and forth. I mean, it would have been amazing, and the ending of that angle would have had some merit to it. But the way it ended, it was like, okay, now what? And then you started to see all those guys just disappear. It got whittled down to basically Booker T.
Yeah.
DDP.
So, DDP for a bit.
DDP was WCW's one of their bigger stars, but he got stuck with a really, really bad gimmick.
What, stalking Undertaker's wife?
Yes.
Sarah, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the whole like guru thing or whatever.
It's not a bad thing.
Guy.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But then again, he took that and ran with it. Look at it. DDP Yoga is huge now.
Right. But why take I mean, this is the same argument we have with NXT. Why do you take something that worked? He was super over in WCW.
They couldn't bring him in because in WCW he was the people's champ.
Yeah, but come on, you can work with that. You put him in with The Rock, and you say, who's the real people's champ? Obviously, at that point, you'll have The Rock go over. But
yeah.
So run with it for a month or two, or build up to some pay-per-view where it's People's Champ versus People's Champ, and you decide who the real People's Champ is. And then you have, The Rock goes over because he's the home guy, but DDP can go on with some like tweaked gimmick to basically the same thing. But why take something that worked and then give him something garbage to work with?
Hey, Jersey Devil sit there and said that most of the big names were under WCW contracts. They were under Ted Turner contracts.
Yeah, so that's why they couldn't get him.
And also that, I even heard this. Sting considered coming in and once he's seen that Rock Booker T, who are you?
Yeah.
He knew he wouldn't be used right. And don't get me wrong. Brothers of Destruction, Kane and Undertaker, when they went after WCW's tag titles, Chronic had him. Brian Clark and Brian Adams. And I loved Chronic.
Great talent.
And I'm like, oh, man, you're going to sit there and have a wrestling clinic here. No, they squashed him.
Squash match.
It's like, what are you doing? You know?
But that was probably after the fact that they decided they weren't keeping WCW around. So it's and they probably they looked at a lot of those guys and go, listen, beyond this alliance angle, we're not keeping most of these guys. So they probably saw them as indisposable, and we're not building you to anything. So you're nothing to us in that kind of vision of, you're not going to be useful to us down the road. So why invest anything in you?
Well, one of the issues that I think probably fell upon a lot of the guys is they weren't made by Bruce Pritchard and Vince. So, no, they weren't his guys. It wasn't his creation, or however you want to put it. So it's like, yeah, but that's a fact. It's happened many times. If you're not a Vince creation, he probably is not going to push him too much at all. You're going to get buried or just completely ruined, right? Kind of like DDP.
Right. Well, it's kind of the thing with Booker T. The Booker T was their champion, and he comes in and The Rock goes, "Who are you?" Like you set the tone, and Sting wasn't wrong in thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
You set the tone immediately of, I'm saying this to your champion. So what does that mean to the rest of the guys in that locker room that came over from there? If your champion is nothing to me, then none of you are the rest of you are less than that.
Yep.
So you set that bar already. So their expectations now are, and look what happened when Sting does come over. WrestleMania, Triple H loses, and so you weren't even going to give him a chance.
No.
And really, anyone only wanted to see him and Undertaker anyway, which we still never got. But it is what it is. Vince is going to do what Vince does, and it's sad that the business is run the way it is.
Yeah, and it all ended at Survivor Series, 5-on-5. Less than 6 months later. And Jericho had a key part. The WWF almost lost when he took a steel chair and cracked The Rock. They almost lost if it wasn't for Kurt Angle.
Yep.
Then fast forward to, Vengeance. 1 month later, when Chris Jericho defeated The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the
his huge claim to fame for what? It felt like 10 years he ran with that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To become the first undisputed champion.
What do you think of the star power in that match, though? Seriously. Like, good God. That's about a dream match, no?
Yeah. The Rock, Stone Cold, Jericho. And just think, out of all those, Jericho had a longer career than both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But The Rock and Stone Cold, they had, the two of the quickest careers ever in WWE. Like Austin 316 lasted, 3-4 years?
Longer than that, no? It had to, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm talking full, he's wrestling every day type stuff.
Well, let's see. 95 to...
Now, I'm not talking Ringmaster. I'm talking
So 96.
Once he claimed Austin 316 at King of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking 96 to 2000, 2001.
Well, he stopped in 2003, but you're probably right around the early 2000s. He was wrestling fewer and far between.
Yeah,
That's
by that
crazy.
point.
I thought it was longer than that.
yeah, and then look at The Rock, same thing. You know, he went a little bit further along.
I think he stopped in what 2004.
His last big consistently wrestling, I think, was when he kind of passed the torch to Brock at SummerSlam. And that was 2001.
Really?
Yeah.
20 years ago.
No, don't get me wrong. The Rock comes back. You know, he came back and wrestled Hogan. That was there for 6 months, you know, to a year, you know. But that was pretty much the last time he was on a full. We're gonna go 24/7. And then look at Jericho. Jericho's still going to this day on a regular, you know, weekly, you know, basis. So, but yeah,
Well, their stars burn brighter, but his burn longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
and then Jericho faced Triple H with Stephanie McMahon in his corner at WrestleMania. And then Renegade, you and I were there the Monday Night Raw after State College, Pennsylvania. When the crowd...
A lot of big stuff happened there, too.
Oh, yeah. First ever draft. You know?
There for that one.
First ever draft. Flair and McMahon going back and forth. Triple H beating Jericho. In a if Jericho loses, Stephanie's gone. The whole State College, Pennsylvania was chanting, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey hey hey, goodbye. Stephanie kicking and screaming as she was being carried out. Jericho outraged. Triple H waving by. Man,
that
great.
Takes me back.
Oh, that was great. You know, Jericho was a great heel.
Oh, one of the greatest, yeah.
Yeah. You know. But The Rock's contract ended in 2004, then he began his full-time acting career.
Busy becoming the biggest star in the world.
And just think, that started with the Mummy?
Scorpion King, wasn't it?
The Scorpion.
But wasn't he first in a CGI on the Mummy where he...
So, yeah, he played the Scorpion King in one of the Mummy movies. Then he got a Scorpion King movie, I believe, afterwards.
And now look, you know, 17 years later, the highest paid actor of all time.
Really?
Yes.
Of all time.
Of all time. He makes more per movie than anyone else, male or female.
Well.
So, man.
He's done all right.
But yeah.
He's doing okay.
He's getting by. Bills are paid.
Right.
So, but yeah. After that, Jericho went back and forth, you know, winning Intercontinental Championship after Intercontinental Championship. Correct me if I'm wrong, he's the one that holds the most Intercontinental title runs. Am I correct?
I want to say it was 9 too. Was it
9? Now there is somebody that's close to beating him. 7 or 8? I can't remember. I know he beat Hall's record, and Hall only had it 5?
4.
4
times.
So, Jersey Devil, who's second most Intercontinental Championships? And first role was in The Mummy Returns. So, doing good for himself at Brian Guritz at $7 Productions. So, but yeah, over the next couple of years, he during the draft split, Raw SmackDown, he was on Team Raw, teamed up with Christian off and on. You know, a little what they call themselves.
Oh man, because I've started to think about remembering this tag team pairing. My goodness.
Little CJ or JC.
Little CJ, was that
No,
Little
that was-
Jimmy before Little Jimmy?
I can't remember what they.
Oh my
But
goodness.
they beat Kane and Hurricane to win the tag titles. You know, and then of course they lost the title to Booker T and Goldust. You know, at Armageddon, where it was just back and forth, and then we're gonna go to the next. The next big WrestleMania moment. Renegade loves this one.
Tell me it's John Cena.
No,
Crap.
Shawn Michaels.
Now this was the first.
This was the
first.
This was the
meeting.
first one where
So this is before that really good storyline.
No, this was the one that I told you that Jericho was talking about with Pat Patterson in the back, doing the small things at the end.
Yeah.
Where him and Shawn, he looked up to Shawn, he loved Shawn, he wanted to emulate Shawn Michaels.
Yes. No, this was a great story they told. I still think the one that came later was better. But yeah, this was really good. So this was the fan going against his hero,
Mm-hmm.
and then turning on him in the end.
Yeah.
So it was a good story.
Yeah, I remember Jericho
And a great
talking about Pat, telling him, you're gonna hug, you're gonna embrace. The crowd's gonna be like, ah. And he's like, as soon as you let go, you're gonna kick him in the nuts, and you're gonna gain all that heat right back. The Miz, yes, The Miz. 8 reigns as the Intercontinental Champion.
Really? Ugh.
I swear you're just gonna start cutting a Miz promo. Really? Really?
Really?
Really?
Yeah, it's about the best he can do. Yeah, that's terrible. Someone else has to do better. Oh man, yeah. Give a couple more to Dolph Ziggler. That's what I did. No, it was amazing. It was a great match and told a good story, and it was a very smart move to do that at the end to get him some heat back. And I can't wait till we get into the second feud he had with Shawn Michaels, because that story was probably one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah. Now we've only entered 3 years so far. We might have to fast forward a little bit, but hey, we're gonna sit there and bring it back to you. Jericho's got a long career. We didn't touch, Jericho yet when he teamed with him and Big Show. Hit him and Kevin Owens' friendship. His stuff in New Japan against Kenny Omega. AEW. We've got a long, long way to go and a short time to get there. But guys, it's time to go. So
sadly, these hours go fast.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna pick right up where we left off. We might fast forward a little bit. But any final thoughts?
The longer you look into Jericho, you realize he had a damn good career. He wrestled a who's who of talent through several generations, and it just makes me anyhow appreciate him maybe a little bit more. I was already a pretty big Jericho fan, and it makes you want to go back to watch some of the classic matches. Just we'll call them now. I mean, they've been quite a while ago, so you can call them a classic. And just to remember, man, he was fantastic. He's still good, but he was fantastic back in the day. Right? It's worth checking out some of his older stuff.
Exactly. Renegade?
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. I kind of am in the same sentiment as Bud is. You kind of take it for granted, and I like thinking back and looking at all those matches and all the people he faced. I mean, coming in right off the bat and basically jumping almost right into the. Sure, he started kind of mid card, but into championship matches very quickly, and then worked his way up to the main event, getting the chance to beat The Rock and Austin same night, winning the being the first undisputed champion. Like, to do those things, and then you go, man, I don't remember that. I didn't remember that. I forgot about that. And you go, man, his career is amazing. And so I certainly want to go back and check a lot of it out, kind of relive some of it again. But yeah, you kind of take it for granted, the things that he's done up to this point. And you certainly know that he's had a great carear. But yeah, we want Ralphus.
Ralphus,
yeah,
buddy.
Reuniting the forces there. Have Jericho bring Ralphus back.
I think Ralphus is dead.
Sad either. But yeah, so amazing career. I think anyone who's maybe forgotten some of these things, we should go back and relive it and just say, yeah, okay, this stuff is great.
Yeah. I love Jericho. Long career. You can't see or even think of too many people had as long of an active career as he did. And now he's doing not only wrestling, but he's got Fozzy. He started Fozzy, early 2000s, and he's been rocking since then. Taking time off the tour, comes right back, doesn't miss a beat ever.
He's reinvented himself so many times as well.
Exactly. So, man, well, another great episode, but it doesn't just stop here. Front Row Material, we're on 4 days a week. The brand. Monday night, you got 6 Degrees with Ritt and Renegade. You never know where we start or where we end. It just goes down the rabbit hole. Then on Tuesday nights, you got FRM Pod with the panel.
Hey.
Then Thursday. The Cult of Beardo. Where else were you going to see 3 attractively sexy bearded men? Nowhere. And right now, we're still talking Chris Jericho. And I don't get tired of talking Chris Jericho. I don't think I'll ever get tired of talking to Chris Jericho. And then Fridays, we got Future Stars Now. Man. Love it.
The brand is expanding like Otis's waistline.
Hey,
Ooh.
why you gotta be like that?
Ooh.
It's been a while. I had to get another Otis dig in there.
Oh, man. But, guys, it was great. Boog, Jersey Devil, thanks for stopping in. Thank you all for sitting there and tuning in on our YouTube page. Subscribe. Go to Twitch page. Follow us. And get the notifications you need to survive. I am the Ritt. He is the Renegade. And that is the Canadian Butt. See you guys next time on Cult of Beardo.
Well...